And hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Hey, I am I've just decided to come on and do a quick check-in. You guys are seeing my space here. I am right now working on another fast. If you have been kind of following me, you know that I've been doing been doing some 72-hour fasts, and this is now our third week of that fast. And I just thought I'd come and do a little check-in so that I could share some of what's been going on with you so that you could see. Remember, we're talking about new year, new you, new year, new you this month. Actually, for the for the 2024, we kicked it off 2 weeks ago on our show, and we're continuing to work on that premise. The goal, if you remember, is to decrease the amount of medication that we are on, specifically as we talk about our diabetes patients. The goal is to try to reduce and or eliminate the medications that we're on for diabetes. And as we work through the process of treating diabetes, we end up having some success with some other disease processes, right? So one of the things that we want to do is we want to decrease the amount of insulin that we are taking. And if we can do that, then we improve so many other aspects of our lives, right? We improve coronary artery disease, hyperlipidemia. We improve high blood pressure. We improve obesity, metabolic syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome. All of those are diseases that have a big component of insulin. And so if we can decrease the amount of insulin that our body either produces or the amount of insulin that we take from medication, then we end up with better results in all of these different aspects of our health and of our lives. You'll see there, you're continuing to see the behind the scenes. My front camera, for some reason, is acting up. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna see if I can make one change there really quickly. All right, let's see if we can. There we are. Okay. So let's switch so you can actually see me. There you go. All right. We are working on a fast. And so the whole idea behind the fast is that when we're fasting, we are decreasing the amount of energy, if you will, right? So we're decreasing what we're putting into the body. And so as we fast, there are several hormonal changes that happen through the body. One of the big changes that we see is that our insulin level drops. Insulin, if you remember, is a storage hormone. So insulin is the signal in the body that the food that we're taking in should be shuttled away to storage. So when we're eating, the body takes the food, breaks it down, we digest it, and the insulin signals the cells in the body that this food should be put into storage. Now, if we're eating excess, of course, we know that that definitely goes into storage. But anything that we eat, right, most of us, we have enough energy floating around in our body in the form of glucose so that when we eat food, the body typically will take the food and shuttle it away. It's almost like going to the grocery store and buying food and then coming home. Some of the food that you bring home, you put in the pantry, and then the rest of it you may cook, put it in the refrigerator. Now, you don't go back to the pantry until the stuff that you've cooked, the stuff that's in the refrigerator is gone or near gone, and then you go to the pantry and pull some things out. So whenever we're eating, the body takes the food that we have with the influence of insulin, and it basically shuttles away into our pantry, which is our fat cells and our liver. When we fast, right, and that's what we're talking about, when we fast, the body then has to use up all of the energy that it has in the blood. It has to go then to the liver and that's like going into the refrigerator and take out the food that's there. And then once that food is gone, then it goes to the pantry, which is those storage cells, the fat cells, and it begins using the energy that's there. So one of the benefits of fasting is that it gives us this period of time where we're forcing the body essentially to go to the pantry, right, if we fast long enough, and to go and start using those substrates, using the stuff that's in the pantry. And so as a result of that, there are several things that begin happening. Number one, because we are decreasing the amount of insulin in the body does not force us to eat. Insulin is a growth factor. So insulin makes you go and get food. So insulin, if we decrease the amount of insulin, then we're not hungry all the time. Like some people, even people who are not diabetic, will say to me, and the people who have pre-diabetes, metabolic syndrome, PCOS, or some other form of metabolic disease, will say that I feel hungry all the time. Well, part of the feeling of hunger is the fact that the insulin levels are high. We have this concept of insulin resistance, where if you check someone's insulin, if they are pre-diabetic or in the metabolic syndrome, if they're overweight, they have typically higher levels of insulin than someone who doesn't have those diseases. And so this elevated insulin makes you hungry. The decrease of the blood sugar, because we're not putting things in, decreases the insulin. If we decrease the insulin doesn't have to store anything, right? In fact, we're going now and we're taking things out of our pantry, and we are breaking down those fat cells, and so weight begins going down. Cholesterol or coronary artery disease, cholesterol, hyperlipidemia goes down. Coronary artery disease gets better, and so on and on and on. So we've been in the process of doing 72-hour fasts. And this is our third week of doing that. I typically do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Today is Thursday, and so we're about, let's see, today it's like 10:23. So let's see, about 30, 24. So about 34 hours. 34 hours into my fast. And so I just wanted to come on and do a check-in so that you can see where we are, what our numbers are doing. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to, well, first, let me make a couple of comments. So this morning, I was sleeping, and right at about 24 hours, I wear a couple of glucose monitors, right? So I have two continuous glucose monitors, one on each arm, and one is a Dexcom G7, and one is a Libre 3. And right about midnight, I believe it was, my alarm was going off, and my wife woke me up, and she's like, "Hey, what's beeping over there?" And I'll show you that here in a minute. So let's see where we are. This first one is what my Dexcom looks like, and let's see if that comes up there really quickly. Let's see. All right, so it should be coming. And so this is what my Dexcom is showing. Okay, so Dexcom is showing right now at like I said, 34 hours, a blood sugar of 100, right? So a couple of questions that you'll be asking, or you should be asking here in just a minute. And so let's see, and then let's go over to, let's see what my Libre is showing. So my Libre is showing a 76, right? 76 right now at 30 hours. Now, you'll see down here at the bottom, you'll see the red. You see the red in the graph at the bottom, and that right there was this morning as I was waking up. You'll see that we were dipping right below 70, right? So the red line at the bottom, that's 70. So dipped right below 70 and then actually came back up. So a couple of questions you should be asking is, why did I come back up? If I have not eaten, blood sugars are dropping. If I went low, why did I come back up? So that's so those are the actual blood sugars. Okay. One of the things I did this morning, and I can make this a 12-hour view, 24-hour view. Well, let's go back to the 6-hour view for a minute, and you'll see a break in the graph. And that was this morning. I was in the shower, got out of the shower, I was toweling off, and the towel hit the sensor, and that was the Dexcom, and that actually came off. So I had to insert another one, and that's why you see a little break in the graph. Okay. So one of the other things that I've been kind of tracking is I've been tracking ketones. Now, this is not something that we've done traditionally. When I say me, but it's something as I started this year and wanted to show you what happens in the body as you fast, I started tracking ketones, and this is one of the ketone meters. Now, this was at 652 this morning, and my glucose at the time was 84. You'll see that there at the bottom in the gray, and the ketones in my body were 1.3. Now, there's an interesting graph that I want to show, and this is a graph that plots both ketones and glucose. So, of course, glucose is the gray graph, and ketones are the kind of turquoise looking graph. Last week, and I'm going to pop back into this graph. Last week, you'll see after I ended my fast and started eating, my blood sugar actually went up quite high, up to about 175 maybe. And at that time, my ketones dropped really low. If I go back during the fast, this is right before ending the fast, my ketones were very high and my glucose was actually low. And that's the effect that you want to see, right? So you want to see ketones on the higher side, glucose on the lower side. And so coming back now into today, right, you'll see your ketones. My ketones are definitely higher than my glucose. And the combination of those, right, if you take the glucose divided by ketones, then you get a number, and this is the glucose ketone index. Now, if you look at this, you'll say, wait a minute, 84 divided by 1.3 does not equal 3.5. And there's a little conversion you have to do. So you take the glucose, divide it by 18, and then that number is what you divide by 1.3. And anyway, that gives me a 3.5. And for ketones, right, one of the big things that people talk about is being in ketosis, right? So we here, right today, we're talking about a fasting check-in, but some of the same benefits that you see from fasting are also benefits that you can get from the ketogenic diet, right? Basically, what we're doing is we're taking the body and we are forcing it to go from consuming and using glucose as its energy to using ketones. Say it again. So we're making the body switch from using glucose for energy to using ketones for energy. And when we do that, the benefits that we see are those things, some of the things we just talked about. One of the big ones why people use the ketogenic diet is people use it because they want to lose weight. The ketogenic diet also is a good diet. It also is used, let me say that, for managing blood sugars. Now, the ketogenic diet works because we are not putting carbohydrates or sugars into the body, and we're forcing the body now to go and use ketones for energy. Well, I was going to say the best. One of the big ways of forcing the body to have to use ketones is if you don't put anything in, right? So a ketogenic diet is a diet that does that, but fasting also ultimately forces ketogenesis. Forces the body to use ketones because you're not putting anything in. All right. So you saw what my blood sugars are right now. Let's pop back over here. So 101 on the Dexcom, and then 74 now on the Libre. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and we're going to check the ketones now and see where they are, see what my glucose ketone index is. So right on my desk here, I have a glucose meter. It's actually a glucoketone meter. I've got a strip that is going to be used for checking glucose, and then a strip that's going to be used for checking the set. So I'm going to go ahead and open those up. And this one is the ketone strip. Get this stuff out of the way. Let's go ahead and I'm going to do the glucose first. So I'm going to put my strip in the meter. Get my lancets. Now, I really just take the lancet and I put it in my finger. A lot of people will use the lancing device. I tend not to do that. All right, so there's my glucose, and it just basically sucks it right into the meter, and we'll see what the glucose shows. And right now it says 95. I'm going to take that one out. I'm going to put the keto strip now into the meter. If I can find it. Right, and then we'll get a drop of blood. And we'll pop that right in, and then we'll get a reading. And ketones are 2.4, which is actually pretty good, right? And then what I want to do is I'm going to pop back over to my phone, and I'm going to move to a different app. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we're still there. All right. Let me come back. Here we are. We should be popping up there really quickly. All right. So now we should be able to move from so this is now our Libre, and so I'm going to go into the app for the software, and I'm going to go ahead and tell it that I want it to, well, it's synced, right? You'll see that. So that's our blood sugar of 995 and ketones of 2.4, and you see my glucose ketone index is 2.1. Okay, so we're still tracking, and usually we want our ketones, a glucoketone index, depending on what we're doing. If we want to be therapeutic, nutritional ketosis, anywhere from 2 to 3, and depending on what you're shooting for, sometimes people will say up to a 4. Okay, so that's where we are. The question that a lot of people ask is, well, if you've not eaten, right? If you've not eaten for 24, 36 hours, why is the blood sugar not low? Well, one of the things that happens is as the body uses up all of the glucose that's in your system, then it goes to the liver and it begins using the glycogen that's there. That's the store. And then after that's done, then it goes to the fat cells and it begins burning the fat that's there. So first it has to use everything up, right? It has to use up all the glucose. Then it has to use up the glycogen that's being stored. And then it goes to the fat cells and begins now burning the fat cells and creating energy from the cells, from the triglycerides. I shouldn't say from the cells. Okay, so when your blood sugar drops, right, that means, okay, the body is in the process of saying, wait a minute, all of the ready stores are being used up, they're gone. And when the blood sugar comes back up, that's a sign now that the body has switched, right? The body has switched and it's now creating its own energy, not from what you ate, not from the stuff that's right there readily available, not the stuff you just ate, but it's now having to go into its stores and it's having to pull energy from there. And now we know that we are burning ketones. So as I said, we're about 34 hours into a 72-hour fast. Keep following us. We'll do check-ins periodically to let you know where we are. And we'll go from there. If you've got questions, go ahead and make sure you drop them in the chat, drop them in the comments, and we'll get back to you. But thanks for hanging out with us here on the channel. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, y'all, in this year, we are saying, right? What is our motto? New year, new you. New year, new you. Oh, and I see some folks just hopping on. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Let me change my screen for a minute. So Jeff says, for your information, let me pull this up. I saw that the upcoming Libra 4 might also measure ketones. Oh, thank you, Jess. You know, there are a lot of companies that are producing ketone meters, right? Because it's such a big thing, right? Fasting has traditionally been more cultural, spiritual, but we're finding so much benefit in fasting in healthcare, and particularly as people are now wanting to know, am I in ketosis? Then we have these devices. Yesterday, and let's see if I can find that picture. Yesterday, I went to the office, and at the office, we use ketone strips, and I did a video. I took some video of that, and I guess maybe I can let's go ahead and share it. I wasn't planning to do that, but let's go here. So that's the ketone strips, and of course the sample that we're going to use, and that's what the strip looks like. And traditionally, what we did was we compared the colors of those strips, and let's see if I can find here's the bottle, and based on the color on the bottle, you can tell whether you have small ketones, large ketones, moderate ketones. One of the drawbacks of using the ketone strips is that ketones will show up in the blood much sooner than they show up in the urine. So sometimes you don't know whether you have ketones if you're waiting for the strips. And we'll do for the urine, that is, and we'll do more discussion as we talk through the year about ketones and measuring ketones and so forth. Okay, but thank you for that, Jeff. I think you guys lost me. Yeah, let's come back here. Okay, and hopefully you can still hear me. Yeah, hopefully you can still hear me. I think we've had, okay, there we are. Okay. Let's go back here. All right. So anyway, so that's one of the things that we did just yesterday. We went in and made some videos as we were talking about the keto strips. Okay. All right. And then we've got Dimitri. Dimitri says, interesting. Yes, man. Fasting, ketosis, ketones, very interesting information. And it's amazing the effect that it will have on our body. And one of the things that I want to say, if you're out there, you're watching, if you joined us, our goal this year is how do we decrease our medication? How do we decrease the insulin that we take? How do we decrease the other medications that we take for diabetes? Specifically now, we're talking about type 2 diabetics. If we can do that, and if you're out there, you say, well, I'm not diabetic yet, that's okay. Right? Because the information that we're sharing, the information that I'm going to be going through, it helps diabetics, but it also helps people who have pre-diabetes, people who have problems with weight, people who have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, people who have coronary artery disease, people who have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, PCOS, right? Polycystic ovarian syndrome. All of those things improve with the information that we're going to be talking about and the information we're going to be sharing. All right. Let's see. Karen says, what is the plan for the 72-hour fast? Water, tea, or nothing? Yeah. So Karen, good question. So this is not a dry fast. So there's a wet fast or a dry fast. And dry fast is where you don't take any fluids in as well as no food. So I am not doing a dry fast. I am taking in fluids, and I'm drinking unsweetened tea, and I'm drinking water. Okay. Now, one of the things that people talk about is not losing electrolytes, and so that's something else that as we get into our discussions, as we get into our shows, and remember our main show is 7 o'clock Monday nights. We do these check-ins, we do shorts, and you'll get information there as well. But come on back with those questions. We'll be talking more about that as we get into the season, get into the year. But Karen, yes, 72-hour fast, water and tea is what I'm using to make sure that I remain hydrated. Now, I did a video, and I've been doing video clips, right? So I've got a lot of videos that I've been putting together. This one I decided to come live and do a check-in. But one of the things I talked about is a mistake that I made as I started one of the fasts. I think was it last week or the week before, was I did not do a good job of hydration, right? So I got a little behind, and as I was checking, as a matter of fact, my wife was checking my urine using the strips, and she said, hey, your specific gravity, which is a marker of concentration, was high. And so I had to, I've got my cup. Right now, this is water. And so you want to make sure, as you're doing the fast, that you are remaining hydrated. So I will talk about the differences between dry fast and wet fast. But very good question, Karen. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. Let's see. Well, I think that's it, guys, for now. And we'll do check-ins again as we get further into the fast. Right now, about 34 hours into the fast, about halfway, roughly. And we'll come back and we'll talk more. All right. One of the big things is going to be, how do you break the fast, right? So that's a question that a lot of people will have. So anyway, thank you for coming, and keep an eye out for more amazing content, and come along with us, right? So don't let these shows and let these concepts just pass you by. I want you to be with us because I'd love to work along with you. Now, one of the things that I did not discuss, right, is one of the things that a lot of people are interested in is weight. They're interested in weight, and at my next check-in, I'll show you what the weight has done as we've done the fast. Okay, all right. I think I saw And Karen, you're very welcome. All right. Well, thank you guys, and have a great day. If you're in the snow, if you're at home, make sure you're staying warm. We this morning did virtual visits, and then we're going to see patients in the office later this afternoon. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.